Hello learners, on behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University, I welcome you for this video lecture session. Today's topic is application of first law of thermodynamics. I am Shubhashish Maji, professor in mechanical engineering of School of Engineering and Technology. This topic, that is application of first law of thermodynamics, is the 10th module of the course Thermodynamics and its application. In our earlier discussions, we discussed the first law of thermodynamics in detail. There we have derived the first law of thermodynamics, the conservation of mass and the conservation of energy for a controlled mass system, that is a closed system. We had also derived the expression for energy equation for open system, that is a controlled volume systems, for the first law of thermodynamics. After listening to this video lecture, you will be able to understand the cyclic process for a steam power plant. You will be able to explain the cyclic process for a refrigeration system. You will be able to know how to calculate the efficiency of a thermodynamic system, and also you will be able to solve the numerical related to first law of thermodynamics. Dear friend, let us begin our discussions with the cyclic process for a steam power plant. You know very well that steam power plant is power plant which generate electricity by using the fuel, that is coal. Coal is burning in the boiler and tremendous heat is generated. This heat is utilized for converting water into high pressure, high temperature steam. The high pressure, high temperature in steam is entering into the turbine and the turbine shaft rotates. The shaft of the turbine is coupled with the shaft of the generator, which in turn produces electricity. So turbine does work, and this is the work done by the system. We call it WT. After that, the low pressure, low temperature steam passes through the condenser, and thereby the low pressure, low temperature steam is condensed by giving out heat to the surroundings, and then the pump is there to pump the water into the boiler, thus completing the cycle. So there are four components in steam power plant. First one is boiler, second one is turbine, third one is condenser, and fourth one is the pump. Now Q1 is the heat input to the boiler, and the boiler is producing high temperature, high pressure steam which is entering in the turbine, producing work, that is WT. And after that, the low pressure, low temperature steam is passing through the condenser, and the steam is condensed into water by giving out the heat Q2 outside. And the pump is there to pump, for pumping the water into the boiler. This completes the full cycle. Now if you consider all the components within a controlled volume, so you see that there is heat input in the boiler, that will be considered as positive, because we know very well that for a controlled volume, any heat unit, if it is coming into the control volume, it has to be considered as positive. But Q2, that is heat giving out from by the condenser to the outside, so that is a heat loss from the control volume, and here it can be considered, it has to be considered as negative. There is work done by the turbine, that WT we have to consider as positive, and there for running the pump we have to give WP, that is work input to the pump. Since this is work done onto the system, it will be considered as negative. Now the whole cycle, you see that in the boiler the water is converting into steam. So before the boiler, it was the working fluid, that is water, was in liquid form, but boiler is producing high pressure, high temperature steam, so that will be water will be converting to steam, which will enter into the turbine, and that part will be a change of phase takes place from water to vapor. After that, after the turbine, the working fluid is a low pressure, low temperature steam, and so on. So this will show you a different diagram, we call it the PV diagram, and you will see that how the change of phase takes place inside the cyclic process. Now this is the PV diagram, that means pressure volume diagram. See at here that there are 4 points are given, that is the 1, 2, 3 and 4. So point 1 is the entry point of the turbine and it does work. So here 1 to 2 is the work done by the turbine, and 2 to 3 it is a constant pressure heat rejection in the condenser, and 3 to 4 is the pump work, and 4 to 1 is the heat input in the boiler. For the heat input to the working fluid in the boiler. So you see that in this case there is heat input, that is in the boiler, and heat rejections at the condenser, and of course there is work done by the turbine and work done by the pump, which we have to consider as negative. Now this is the pressure volume diagram for the steam power plant, and this diagram we will discuss again and again while analyzing different thermodynamic systems. Now you see that if you want to utilize the energy equations that from the first law of thermodynamics for a cyclic process, the net heat input is equal to the net work done. So Q1 minus Q2 is equal to WT minus WP. Here Q2 we have considered as negative because it is heat loss from the system. So Q1 minus Q2 will be equal to WT minus WP. Pump work is the work done onto the system, that's why it is negative. Now if you want to calculate the thermal efficiency, we all know can be defined as output by input. So net output is WT minus WP and net heat input is Q1. But WT minus WP we have already calculated from the energy equations, that is Q1 minus Q2. So the efficiency for this system is equal to Q1 minus Q2 divided by Q1, that comes out to be 1 minus Q2 by Q1, where Q1 is a heat input into the control volume and Q2 is the heat loss by the control volume. Now let us discuss about the refrigeration system. Now in the same way we will discuss, and here the 4 components are compressor, condenser, expansion device and the evaporator. Now if you start from the evaporator, the refrigerant, that is the working fluid, in this cyclic process, as we have seen the working fluid in the cyclic process for thermal power steam power plant, we have considered that in that case we have considered water as a working fluid that will be circulating through the cyclic process. Now here we will consider the refrigerant which will be circulating in the cyclic process for refrigeration system, and this refrigeration system is known as vapor compression refrigeration system. Now you see, if you start from the entry point of the evaporator, there the refrigerant temperature is very low and pressure is also very low. Now when it passing through the coils placed in the refrigerator, it will extract heat from the confined space, because for a refrigeration system our main intention is to keep the inside area at a low temperature, so that we have to extract heat from the confined space in the evaporator. After, when the refrigerant takes the heat from the confined space, that is Q2, after that it is passing through the compressor. Now compression does the work. So you see the one piston is moving inside the cylinder so that the refrigerant will be compressed. Now you know very well that if you compress a gas or any liquid, then its temperature and pressure will increase. So the temperature will increase. After that, with this high temperature, and that temperature will be more than the environment temperature. When it passes through the condenser, then heat will be given out to the outside, that is environment, because we know very well that heat will always flow from high temperature region to a low temperature region. After that, it will pass through the expansion device. Now, what is the purpose of the expansion device? That we have already discussed while explaining the energy balance equations for a steady flow in an open system, that when the refrigerant will pass through the expansion device, there will be sudden that expansion, and because of the sudden expansion there will be a drop of pressure. So pressure will reduce, at the same time temperature will also reduce, and some of the refrigerant will start boiling, and while boiling it takes the latent heat from the refrigerant itself, thereby the temperature of the refrigerant will be low. So at a low temperature, low pressure that refrigerant will pass through the evaporator, and while passing it will extract heat from the confined space to keep cool in the refrigerated space. Then it will pass through the compressor, and compressor does work onto the system. Its temperature pressure will increase, and after that the high pressure high temperature refrigerant, while passing through the condenser, it gives heat, because heat will always flow from high temperature region to a low temperature region. So there will be heat transfer from system to the surroundings, and then after that the liquid refrigerant will pass through the expansion device, and while passing through the expansion device there will be sudden drop in pressure because there is expansion takes place, and while dropping the pressure its temperature will also decrease, because at a low pressure certain refrigerant will evaporate, takes the latent heat from the refrigerant itself. So this is a simple process for the refrigeration system, and here you see we have taken a control surface and there is work done onto the system that will be considered as negative, and Q2 is a heat input through the control surface, so it will be considered as positive, and there will be heat loss Q1 at the condenser. We have to consider that as a negative. So we can derive the expressions for calculating the COP. We call it coefficient of performance, and that is defined as the net refrigerating effect divided by the net work input. That means what we are getting divided by what we are paying. So first of all, let us see the thermodynamic cycle, how the phase changes while at different locations in the cycle. Now we are looking at the PV diagram for the refrigeration system. We can see the evaporation takes place at the evaporator, and there is a compressor, and in the compressor there is work done onto the system, and there is a condenser where there is heat out from the condenser to the surroundings, and there is a throttling process. And so now let us see how we can calculate the COP, that is coefficient of performance, for this refrigeration system. First of all, for a cyclic process, we know that the summation of the heat transfer is equal to the summation of work done. So in this case, Q1 is negative, so minus Q1 plus Q2 is equal to minus WC, that is the work done by the compressor onto the system. So you see that we can get the expression that is Q1 minus Q2 is equal to WC, but coefficient of performance means the net refrigerating effect. Our main purpose is take out the heat Q2 from the confined space in the evaporator. So net refrigerating effect is Q2 divided by WC. So COP of the refrigerator is equal to Q2 divided by WC, but we have already calculated WC is equal to Q1 minus Q2. So put the value of WC in this expression, and finally we get the coefficient of performance for refrigerator is equal to Q2 divided by Q1 minus Q2. Now let us see how we can solve the numericals related to the first law of thermodynamics. The example 1 says that a frictionless piston is raised by slowly heating the gas contained in the cylinder. The initial pressure is 0.3 megapascal and the initial volume is 2 meter cube. The heat transfer to the tank is 3000 kilojoule and the final volume is 4.0 meter cube. Determine the change in internal energy per unit mass of the fluid. So this is a constant pressure process, and initial volume is 2 meter cube and the final volume is 4 meter cube, and the heat transfer to the tank is 3000 kilojoule. First of all, let us see with the help of a diagram how it works. So here you see the piston cylinder arrangement, and there is a control mass and there is the heat input, and when the heat input is there, the control mass will will move in the upward directions to maintain the constant pressure. So first of all, let us calculate the work done. Work done from state 1 to state 2 is equal to P dV, that means P within bracket V2 minus V1, that is a change in volume. But initial pressure is given as 0.3 megajoule per meter square, that is megapascal, and within bracket 4 minus 2, that is V2 minus V1, and it will comes out to be 0.6 megajoule. The first law of thermodynamics, we can write the change in internal energy, that is U2 minus U1 is equal to 1 Q2 minus 1 W2. But here you see this is the work done by the system, it has to be considered as positive, and 1 Q2, that is 1000 kilojoule, that means 3 megajoule. So 3 minus 0.6 megajoule. So the final answer will be 2.4 megajoule for the change in internal energy. Here we are discussing the example 2. It says that a mixture of gases expands at constant pressure from 1.5 megapascal, 0.04 meter cube to 0.08 meter cube with 150 kilojoule positive heat transfer. There is no work other than that done on a piston. Find change in energy for the gaseous mixture. There is second part of this problem is this: the same mixture expands through the same state path while a steering device does 20 kilojoule of work on the system. Find change in energy Q and W for the piston. Now it is a constant pressure process. So let us see how we can solve this problem. We know the constant pressure process, the work done is 1 W2 is equal to PdV. P is given as 1500, V2 is given as 0.08 minus 0.04, that is equal to 60 kilojoule. The first law of thermodynamics, we can write U2 minus U1, that is change in internal energy, is equal to 1 Q2 minus 1 W2. The heat input is given as 115 kilojoule. The work done we have already calculated, that is equal to 60 kilojoule. So the change in energy for this case comes out to be 55 kilojoule. Now for the second part, this is another case. In this case also at the end of the process, the final state is same. So if the initial state is same, final state 2 is also same. So the change in energy will also be same, because the energy is a property and it depends on the state point. So in this case, the change in energy will also be 55 kilojoule. But how to calculate the heat input? So 1 Q2 is equal to U2 minus U1 plus 1 W2. But since it is a steering process, so it is work done onto the system, so it is considered as negative. So 1 Q2, that is the heat input, will be 55 minus 20, that will comes out to be 35 kilojoule. Now next, let us see the exercise 3. This is a very interesting problem related to thermal power plant. Just now we have discussed about the cyclic process for a steam power plant, and this problem is related to steam power plant. Calculate the efficiency of boiler from the given data. Type of boiler is given as coal-fired boiler. Heat input data, that is the quantity of coal consumed, that is 1.8 tons per hour, we call it TPD. GCV means gross calorific value of coal, that it comes out to be 3200 kilocalorie per kg. It is given. Heat output data, quantity of steam generated, that is 8 TPD, that is tons per hour, and steam pressure, temperature is given as 10 kg per centimeter square gauge pressure, and the temperature of steam is given as 180 degrees centigrade. Enthalpy of steam, that is saturated steam, at 10 kg per centimeter square is given as 665 kilocalorie per kg, and feed water temperature is given 85 degrees centigrade, and enthalpy of feed water is given as 85 kilocalorie per kg. We have to find out the efficiency. You know very well that efficiency is defined as output by input. Now input is the heat input by burning of the coal. So the quantity of coal consumed as 1.8 ton per hour, and the gross calorific value is also given as 3200 kilocalorie per kg. So we can easily find out how much heat is generated by burning of coal at the rate of 1.8 ton per hour. But the quantity output is defined as how much change in enthalpy takes place in the boiler. So final enthalpy minus initial enthalpy, so that we will get per kg basis and multiplied by the quantity of steam generated, that is 8 tons per hour, we will get. So if you look at the expressions for the boiler efficiency, output is given as Q within bracket capital H minus small h divided by Q, small q into GCV multiplied by 100. Now what is capital Q? That is given as numerator, that is quantity of steam generated per hour, that is given at 8 TPD, so 8 tons per hour. So 1 ton is equal to 1000 kg, so we can calculate like that. And capital H is given as enthalpy of saturated steam and H is the enthalpy of feed water. We can find out the change in enthalpy, that is a capital H minus small h. And input means the heat input that we can get from the calorific value as well as the quantity of the coal consumed per hour. So you put the value of capital Q, that is 8, it is given as, and we have multiplied by the 1000 to convert in terms of kg. Then capital H minus small h, that value is already given, and small q is given as 1.8 multiplied by 1000, because 1.8 given is in terms of ton, we have to convert into kg, and multiplied by GCV, that is gross calorific value of coal. And this will comes out to be 0.8055. In terms of percentage, we represent it as 80.55%. That is the efficiency of the boiler. Now let us discuss about the example 4. An engine developing 28 kilowatt consumes 7.15 kg of fuel per hour. The fuel has calorific or heating value of 41 megajoule per kg. Determine the thermal efficiency of the engine. This problem also we can calculate the thermal efficiency of the engine, that is with that same equation, that is output by input. So output is given as 28 kilowatt, that is kilojoule per second. Here also we can calculate the input, that is the combustion of the fuel, that is 7.15 kg of fuel per hour. So per second we have to calculate by dividing 3600 and multiplied by the calorific value. Now the solution is thermal efficiency is equal to output by input. Output is given as 28 and input is 7.15 divided by 3600. Why we are dividing by 3600? Because 7.15 is given in terms of hour. We have to divide 3600 to convert it the consumptions of fuel per second, multiplied by 41 into 1000. Now this comes out to be 0.3438 or 34.38%. So this is the final answer, that is the thermal efficiency for this problem comes out to be 34.38%. Now let us try to solve this problem, and these problems are all related to the earlier discussions on first law of thermodynamics, and while discussing about the concept of ideal gas equations, and those theory part has already been discussed, but now we will see how we can solve the numerical on the basis of our previous discussion. This problem says that a 3.2 meter cube vessel contains air at 145 kilopascal and 27 degrees centigrade. Air is pumped into the vessel till the pressure becomes 3.6 megapascal and temperature 50 degrees centigrade. Determine the additional mass of air pumped in. Treat air an ideal gas. The value of R is given as 0.287 kilojoule per kg. Now we will see how we can solve this problem, but before solving these problems we must remember the equations for ideal gas. So for an ideal gas we know the equations is PV is equal to mRT. P is the pressure, V is the volume, R is the gas constant, T is the temperature. So let us see how we can solve this problem. See, in this case the additional air pumped M is equal to final mass minus initial mass, because if the initial mass is M1 and final mass is M2, then we can calculate the additional air pumped in, that is M2 minus M1. Now we know very well from ideal gas equation is equal M is equal to PV whole divided by RT. But in this case the volume is constant, R is the gas constant, it is also constant. So take V and R outside this bracket, but pressure is changing and temperature is also changing. The final pressure is P2, final temperature is T2, minus initial pressure is P1 by T1 is the initial temperature. Final pressure is 3600, but initial pressure is 145 kilopascal. The initial temperature is given, final temperature is given, but only thing we have to convert the temperature in Kelvin scale by adding 273 with the temperature which is given in Celsius scale. So after doing some algebra or little calculations, we get the final result as 118.88 kilojoule. So this is the mass, that is the additional air pumped into the system. Now we have started discussions with the cyclic process for steam power plant. There we have discussed the four important components. First component we discussed boiler, then turbine, then condenser, and the fourth one is pump. And we have discussed the refrigeration system. There also we have discussed the four important components. First one is evaporator, second one is compressor, third one is the condenser, and the fourth one is expansion valve. And we have also discussed the PV diagram, pressure versus volume diagram for this cyclic process, and we have also seen how to calculate the efficiency of a thermodynamic system, that is output by input, and we have also solved some numerical related to first law of thermodynamics. So dear learners, here we are concluding today's discussion, and we in our earlier discussions and today's discussion we have completed the first law of thermodynamics. We have discussed about the control mass system or a closed system. We have also discussed about control volume or open system. We have discussed about how we can derive the energy equations and the conservation of mass equations. Thank you very much.